My guest is Diana Trask. Diana, welcome to KCSN.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Now, I understand you're the showwoman of country music. Would you care to explain?
Well, I guess that comes from our PAs. We do a lot of work in Las Vegas and Reno and Tahoe. And country music hasn't really had that much tremendous exposure on the Strip and, some of the places in Las Vegas and Reno. And I've been very fortunate there, so I guess that's why they've probably put that tag on me. I don't know quite where it came from, to tell you the truth.
Now, I understand you play Las Vegas quite frequently.
We do, yes. I work the Frontier and the Sands quite often.
What type of show do you put on for the people there?
Well, we, of course, sing country music, but the difference is that it's orchestrated with full band, like 32-piece orchestra, which is something that the Las Vegas audiences particularly have come to expect in the main rooms. So that's about the only difference, but basically it's just the same old country music that you hear, that I do all the time, anywhere that I'm at.
Do you plan any appearances in the Los Angeles area in the near future?
There are some coming up. I can't give you the exact dates right now, but we do have some planned in the immediate future. And as I say, ours in Tahoe isn't that too far away for y'all to come.
Now, originally you started out as a pop singer. Now, why the switch to country music?
I did start as a pop singer. Well, I was born and raised in Australia. And back then when I was a kid, that was the kind of music, the only music that we heard, American pop music. So that's when I started to sing, and I sang around Sydney for a while and my dream was to come to the United States, and I did. And I continued on in really a stricter form of pop music then, because I did some shows with Sing Along with Mitch, which was very sort of regulated music. And then quit it all and went back to Australia. And when I came back to the United States about 8 years ago, I switched to country music. And what was the question? I'm giving you a bio anyway.
What was the question was, why did you get into country music?
Thank you. I got lost there a minute. I went as a guest down to the CMA convention in Nashville, and I heard the late Tex Ritter deliver a speech down there, which I thought was marvelous, in which he said that country music is kind of the living history of America today. And that struck a chord. And then I went to see the Grand Ole Opry, and I sat through 2 complete sessions of that. And I was sitting on a hard wooden bench, and my behind wasn't the least bit sore. I couldn't get over that. And what I saw represented there was artists that were free and natural and real, people that you could touch and identify with. And I decided that if I was going to be in music, that was the kind of thing that I would like to be involved with. And that's why I changed.
Now, what was your first country record?
Our very first release was a thing written by Roger Miller called Lock, Stock, and Teardrops. And it was on a very small label. And because of that being what they call a turntable hit, I guess that's your term, I signed with Dot Records, and I've been with Dot Records ever since. And I think I'm quite right in saying that every one of my records since have at least been on the national charts, and some of them, our last 5 records have gone at least top 20, so we're pretty pleased.
Now you have a brand new single which is heading right up there towards the #1 spot. What is it?
Yeah, it's called Oh Boy. Oh Boy. Oh Boy, oh boy.
What is this? Is there a story behind that song, or why you selected it?
Not particularly. My A&R man found it, and he liked it, and I liked it. And we did 4 or 5 other songs, and that came off the strongest, so that was the single.
Now, how do you go about selecting material that you're going to record for an album?
Well, my A&R man goes through everything at first, that comes in. I have, last session we did 3 days ago, I did have a song that I picked up from Paul Anka, because he and I are friends, and he gave me the song personally. There are some, situations like that, but generally everything goes, people send my A&R men songs that they think would suit me, and I find songs that I like, and we get together and have a brain session for about 5 hours and put it on an album.
Now, of all the songs you've recorded, do you have a personal favorite?
There are some favorites, that I've recorded, but definitely not public favorites. I can tell by the way they sold. I love, there's a song I recorded a long while back written by Jimmy Webb. And I heard it last night. I was the presenter on the music awards here in Los Angeles. And my co-presenter was a star that I've, adored for years, Ray Charles. And I heard his version of this song, and I ran right out and recorded it myself. It's called I Keep It Hid. And I think it's one of the most, beautiful songs I've ever recorded. It was just on an album. It didn't do anything, but I loved it.
Now, when can we expect a new album?
Well, we just finished putting one in the can, and it should be sweetened and everything by the end of next week. So I imagine by the end of March at the latest.
Now, have you tried to tackle any songwriting of your own?
Yes, my latest, the single before this one I wrote. And I've got some stuff on albums, that I have co-written with them.
That single that you were talking about, what is the single and what was the inspiration for it?
Oh, it was When I Get My Hands on You was the name of it. And the inspiration of it was that another friend of mine, a co-writer in Nashville, walked around with the title and said, I've got this great title, When I Get My Hands on You. And I said, yeah, it should go like this. And we wrote it in about 10 minutes.
Does that mean if I give you a title, you can write a song for it?
That's the way it generally goes. If you have a strong title, you can hook. If you got a hook, you've got a song.
How about The Last Love Song?
The Last Love Song. How about the first?
What would you say are your influences on your career? Whose singing has influenced your style the most?
I try not any one person the most, I think just living life influences you, tempers you, and when you're exposed to other artists, I've worked with some fantastic artists, I really have. I've really been very lucky. A little bit rubs off from everyone, No one in particular, because if you imitate somebody else, then you're not creating, you're just a mimic, and I've never wanted to be that.
Now, I hear you're quite popular in Australia.
Well, yes. I had my own television show down there for a couple of years, and I think I was the first Australian star to go on national television in America and have it seen back in Australia when television went back there, so they thought that was fantastic, We do very well down there.
What American... Yeah, it doesn't. What American television shows can we watch you for in the near future?
Well, I'll be in town here to do the Academy Country Music Awards next week. And, of course, we're scheduled to do an in-concert, which comes, I think we just taped it. I think that'll be out real soon, March 14th. And just the usual other ones, the talk shows. We're doing them all the time.
How about a TV special or a TV series of your own?
How about it? Do you know anybody?
Not yet. I'll let them know, though. How about the tune Lean It All on Me? How did that song come about?
That was a young gentleman called Josh Whitmore had been banging around Nashville for about a year, not starving, And he walked into Gallico Music one night with a song in his hand. And he went to the back room, the usual routine of a songwriter, off the street. And the young kid that heard it flipped out. And I happened to be looking in that office, in the next office, looking for a song. And he said, hey, I've got something here. So we recorded it the next day.
Now, how about one of my favorites, a tune called Say When?
Well, that was written by my then producer. And it was probably After a Boy would be my biggest seller.
Now, do you use a backup band or do you set up a band whenever you go into a particular place?
Well, I carry two musicians all the time with me, and when we're in Las Vegas, I have charts, so I just use the house bands, and at times I do use other musicians that I know that I pick up, but generally speaking, I just use whatever is the house bands wherever I go.
Do you prefer the large clubs like in Las Vegas or the small, intimate clubs in smaller areas?
Well, clubs are like women, you know, everyone has a personality of their own. At least that's what my husband says. Like women and old cars, you know, they have their own personalities. And you can't really say that one performance was better than the other or one club was better than the other. It depends on the audiences that are attracted to the clubs, because after all, people do make them, you know. I have my favorites around the world. I think Drury Lane Theatre is my favorite of all in the world. It's my number one theatre.
Now, what does the future hold? What are your future plans, future goals?
Just to keep on plugging the way we are, I think. I'd like to be the number one girl singer in America, you know, me and about 40 other million, I'm sure. But in the meantime, we'll just keep slugging.
You'll get there. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience about?
Just that I love him, and come and see me and buy my records, please.
Diana, thank you very much for guesting here today on Spotlight on a Star.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.